Hi guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. Today's video, we are going to give a presentation at the Palisades Women's Club. Look, I brought some beautiful roses to show them that you can create a beautiful bouquet just from your own garden. And I'm going to talk about sun containers, shade containers, and how to amend the soil. And I'm going to talk a little bit about drip. So I got lots and lots of things to talk about. I'm going to muster up some courage today, and I'm going to go in here and just do this thing. So come along with me today. Hi gardening friends, my name is Kim Preston. I have a YouTube channel called Backyard Blooms with Kim. You have a card on your table there, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because like I'm trying to do this more full time, so if you guys can help me, I need your help. Anyways, I'm going to, today for my presentation, this is Dawn's container. And we picked out all these shade-loving plants. And then this is my container, and I picked out a sun-loving container. So we're going to plant up both today. And then I'm going to also show you how to how to amend your soil in the clay. So a lot of people are scared of that. And you can come look at my garden, and you can tell there's nothing to be scared of. You just need to learn how to amend it. So
where is your garden? Can we drive by?
Yes, and actually, after I clean up a little bit, if everybody wants to come over, I'm going to give everybody an hour. If you want to come by my house and visit the garden, you can. This container over here, so I don't make a mess. I've already filled soil in this container, but you can see that I use a good quality potting soil, and today I'm using the Espoma organic potting soil. Make sure you look when you go to the stores and make sure it's a good potting soil that's going to drain really good. I know there's potting mix and whatever. You don't want something that's going to go into a raised garden bed or something that you're going to put into the ground, because you want this to drain really good. So right here we have this gorgeous fuchsia. So this was our focal point. So when we went to the nursery, of course you picked out the pot. So you want whatever that looks good with your pot too. You want it to accent and play off each other. So this fuchsia was our focal point. So we kind of build off that, right, Dawn? So
yes.
We found this plant right here that plays off this caladium really well, and it played off this. So we kind of put all the colors up together and made sure that we really liked it. So sometimes we'll put a plant up here and we're oh, we really like that, and then we'll go around the garden center and we're oh, I like this better. So you just want to make sure everything's got the same condition. So she's going to put this under her porch, so it takes a lot of sun, or takes a lot of shade, I'm sorry. So usually shade likes just morning sun and not afternoon sun. And we live in Charlotte, North Carolina, zone 8, and it's really, really hot. So that's, even when you buy a plant that was so we're zone 8, if I bought a plant that was zone 7, and it's not really, we're zone 8, then you want to make sure you put that plant in the shade, in the hot sun. Does that make sense? Because it's going to be more heavy. All right, so when we plant this up, I already got dirt here. We're just going to squeeze the pot and bring this out like so.
Don't forget the biotone.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Talk about biotone. I'm helping. She does this. She helps me on my videos all the time, because I want to forget this stuff. But this is an important step. So I always plant everything with the biotone. Yes, ma'am.
We have so much problem with deer here.
Okay.
We plant anything, it doesn't last. So
Well, then you need to come.
when you're done, you can just
Talk about the deer. Okay, I'll do that. This is biotone. It's from Espoma, but it's for the roots. So it says on here that it promotes bigger blooms, roots for planting flowers, trees, shrubs, and vegetables. And I never skip this step. I use it for all my containers. I use it for everything I plant in the ground. I even use it for all my annuals, like if I'm planting my petunias or anything. I use this. I do not skip this step. So it's a little smelly.
What's it called? I'm sorry.
It's biotone, Espoma biotone. And if you watch my YouTube channels, if you go under my description and more, I will have all the links for everything. And then everything's off Amazon, and I could get a little bit of kickback from it too. So any of the products or anything I talk about today will be under my YouTube channel under description. So we're just gonna put a little bit of this in there. and work this into the soil. And it does smell like manure gas, so anything that's smelly, you know it's going to work really good. So I'm just going to work this into the soil, and then I also like this Proven Winners Continuous Release. So this good soil has some good food in there for probably maybe the first 3 months. This is going to also give you more food up to 6 months. But in addition, I still like to use my continuous release fertilizer every week. Because some plants are heavy feeders and they want that, you know, extra food. We like food, they want food too. You what now?
Is there any way to overfeed?
If it's all slow release, no. Yeah. We're gonna just mix that in. And then I already took this flower out of the container. You just wanna make sure that it's not really root bound. This one's not root bound. If it is root bound, you just wanna take the roots and kind of like separate them a little bit, or you can cut them with your clippers, with your pruners. So whenever you put your focal points, you can always either put it in the center of a pot or you can put it in the back of the pot. So if you can see the container all the way around, then you'd want to put it in the center. If you have your container up against a wall and you're not going to see it all the way around, then you might want to put your focal point or your tall thing in the very back. You're going to have yours up against the wall, right,
Yes.
Dawn? Okay. And then we want to make sure, like this is, turn it around here. So this is her, you know, like the front of the pot. You want the pretty thing in the front there. So we're going to like make sure this plant looks really good. We don't want to plant it like that because that's not the pretty side. This is the pretty side. So we're going to bring this towards the back. Like so usually what makes a real pretty container is a thriller, a filler, and a spiller. Your thrillers are going to be whatever's going to give your height. And then your, like this is going to add height too. So this one is called a cordyline. I'll call it just a spike. So this is going to add height too. So we're going to like make sure we plant everything tall towards the back because we don't want it in the front because we're going to hide all of our small stuff. So everything that's tall either in the center or in the back. Tell you about that. I just love this fuchsia too. It's something that I've not really planted. But this fuchsia right here, it's also called wind chimes, and it's upright white, which is, I think it's got a little bit of pink in it. It's really pretty. And this spike also plays off this pink that's in there also. Well, sometimes it'll like have a lot of great information on the back. So it already tells you that this is a fuchsia hybrid. It likes bright shade. It will get up to 16 inches tall, and it says keep soil evenly moist, which is fine. Every 2 weeks, mild liquid fertilizer, which this fertilizer right here is just a water-soluble fertilizer. So I like to use this every single week to all my flowers. So this is like, it's got a scoop in there, a little scooper, so I use 1 scoop to 1 gallon. Which my container is 2 gallons, I'm going to use 2 scoops. And then I just pour it in there. All right. And then this is called a caladium. So caladiums usually last only, for us, our summers. For our winter, it usually doesn't winter over. It does have a corm, a C-O-R-M. That's what it comes from. It's not a tuber or a root. And then sometimes you can take the corms and like winter them over, like in a garage or dark space, and then you can get them to rebloom too. So this is called a caladium. They usually like shade, but there is some caladiums from Proven Winners that take sun or shade. You just have to make sure you read your label whether it takes shade or sun. This one likes shade. Sometimes you can like take some of this dirt off like this if you want to, if you have like a lot of good soil already. And then we're going to plant this right there in the front. So I'm kind of placing them in there. I am digging into the soil, but then I'll go back and add more dirt on top because you don't want any of the roots to be exposed. I'm going to plant this one over here. And another thing that I might want to add is that you do not want to add anything at the bottom of your container. A lot of people don't want to fill their whole container full of soil, but we want all these roots to grow all the way down. We want them to have enough moisture and enough drainage room for the plants. If you add this much of rock or this much of, I don't know, people add water bottles and all kinds of crazy things, pool things that they cut up, whatever those pool noodles are. So most gardeners do not suggest that. If you add something like that into the bottom, then that's only going to give this much room for the roots to grow. You want it to be able to grow all the way down, and then you always want to have a drainage hole in the bottom of your container so it'll drain all the way down. Don't be scared to push it down in the ground or in the container. And then this is a little wire vine. I think that's kind of cute. Always play off textures. So whenever you put something against each other, make sure it's got different textures and different colors to play off of. So this is called a wire vine large leaf. Wire vine? Wire vine, yeah. Sun to part shade. And then we're going to put this right here in the front. Okay? This is something that you guys may not know. You don't have to plant everything right up and down. You can plant it on an angle to where it's going to spill over. So I'm going to plant this one at an angle. And we're going to stuff it down in there. And then I'm going to add some soil to it. But there you go. There's our shade container. Oh, I got her this cute thing too. Birdhouse. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I gotta give one for me and her. And I'm just gonna stuff that right in the front where you can see it. Yes.
When you reuse pots, do you empty out the dirt every year?
Yes. Because you'll be surprised, you'll start removing all your plants and you think it's fine, and then time after time after time again, I'll empty that whole container, and this whole side all the way at the bottom will be completely root bound. And you wouldn't know it until you started pulling it out. Plus, these plants are using all this nutrients, and year after year, and if you don't, you just want to start off fresh. So every year or every season, I'll remove all the dirt. You can repurpose it somewhere if you want to, or dispose of it, and then start off fresh. Your flowers will be super happy, and will love it more. I'll move this. Yes, ma'am.
It says on the label, hard sun, full sun. Hard sun means it's basically morning sun.
Morning sun.
Shade, right?
Yeah. Morning sun and no
Afternoon shade.
afternoon shade. Yeah. All right, now this is my pot, and I'm going to do sun. But I also want to talk about adding drip to it. So I work full time. Hopefully I'm going to be part time because you guys are going to keep me busy, right? I don't have time to water every single day. And we live, like I said, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Zone 8. It is hot here in the summer. So plants like consistent watering. And they like better when you do it at the base instead of overhead. Because when you're doing water overhead, then you're introducing fungus and other stuff too. So most plants like to be watered at the base. So this is my drip tubing. This is a 1/4 inch drip tubing. And then at my home, let me get this. This is my little display. At my home, I have this drip tubing right here. It's a 1/2 inch drip tubing, and it's got all these little emitters in it. And I just have this hooked up to my regular faucet. So what I'm gonna do when I do get home, this is already in my ground, I'm gonna hook this up to here, and then it's gonna, when my drip kicks on by a timer, it's gonna water this every single day, and I don't have to water. If I go on vacation, I don't have to worry about watering. And I know it's good and taken care of. I don't have to be stressed about my plants dying or have to ask someone else to come over and water for me. So before I even put the dirt in, I need to put this drip tubing up through the drain hole here and pull it all the way up. So even if you don't hook it up to your drip, like right away, this is much easier to get in before you put your soil in. So think about that. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll cut this. So at least I have that in place. Now I'm gonna add all my dirt. This is the Espona. You can get this, or where I like to get this kind of soil is at Wilson's and Rock Hill. They have a great nursery. You can get this online through Amazon, and then that's the only place I know of. Sometimes Ace Hardware has this.
We bought it at Southern Roots.
Southern Roots had it too. Southern Roots is in Gastonia, Belmont.
Belmont.
Yeah. I like both of those nurseries really well. Add a little bit more.
The other bag
Where's
is
it
over,
gone?
it's over here.
Some of my, you what?
Check out her boots.
Oh, yeah, I'll show them to you in a second. One of my favorite tools is the Felco 2 pruners. These last forever if you take good care of them. I love these pruners. They're about $65 to $70, but they are so worth it. They'll last you for a lifetime. And then they have different ones. These are Felco 2. I have a small hand, but they fit in my hand really well. Another soil that I really like is the Proven Winners potting soil too. And if I go to Creekside Nursery, which I really like, they have all the Proven Winners plants that are like in this white pot here. And then I'll get, if I'm there, I will get the Proven Winners potting soil. I like both. And I'm a messy gardener. All right, so this is how fluffy the soil is and good quality it is. Add my bitone. Don't forget. Oops. My continuous release. Do what?
It's like you're cooking.
Yeah. All right, so I got all my fertilizer in there, my root for my roots, and then the fertilizer for this, and then I'm going to start adding my bigger plants. So this is my thriller, and this is a perennial. So you can add perennials to your container also. You don't have to be just stuck with just all annuals. And then when you're done with this, you can plant it into your yard, into your regular landscaping. So this one's called Indian Feather Belisa White. It blooms spring to autumn. This one takes full sun.
Is it deer resistant?
I have not had deer eat this plant yet.
Okay.
They like my roses and my hydrangeas. And talk about deer. So both me and Dawn made an invisible fence out of fishing line. So I got like a post, I don't even know what you call them. They're like a green post that's like 6 feet tall, and it's really, really thin, but really sturdy. And then we got a fishing line, a 30-pound fishing line. And we added, Dawn's got 3 lines across. I had 3, and I still had the deer come in and ate some, so I had to add 5 lines across. But they don't see it, so what they can't see, they can't jump onto that because they can't see it. And then when they brush up against it, they're like all freaked out about it and they don't know exactly what it is. So then they just kind of make a different path. So far, it has kept the deer out of my garden. And I've used everything else. I've used deer deterrent. And when the deer come in my garden to eat, is after a full night of rain. And it's not gonna work then. So that's the only thing I've found that works so far. Some plants are deer resistant, like anything in the onion family. is deer resistant, but if they're hungry, they're gonna eat anything. This one's a little bit root bound. Do you see this? I'm gonna pull it just a little bit, yeah. Just break it up some. Now, actually, my container I'm putting on my porch that gets most sun during the day and then shade in the afternoon. So I'm gonna do this one in the center. And I've got 2 of these garas. Dumping it down in there. And I'm gonna plant these 2 right next to each other. This one's a hot pink and this one's a white. This one is called Indian Feather Dark Pink.
So it's okay to pack them tight with flowers?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as you have enough room for them to grow down, for their roots. And I'm just gonna take this big chunk off, that's how I do it, because I got good soil here. All right.
Did you do a YouTube on that wire, on that fishing line? Is that on your channel?
I talk about it.
You do?
Yeah.
Great.
So, and if you come over the house, well, I only have it, we have one fence going down my side, the neighbors, so I don't have to worry about that one side. And then I have an arbor that goes out because my husband has to get in and out of mowing, and I didn't want him to take that completely down each time he had to mow each week. So I got an arbor with a gate. So it's just mainly going all the way across the back of the house and up probably 3/4 of this way, because the deer come back from we're like right there on the lake. So they come up from the lake house, the North Reach Lake House. That's the way they come, and then they'll kind of cut across.
Okay.
So far, they could find a way in, but they have not yet. So these are my thrillers right here. Both of these are. This is going to be another thriller, and the reason why I wanted to pick out this plant, this is a coleus. And most people think that you can only plant coleus in the shade, but this one is called the Color Blaze series, and it's from Proven Winners. And as far as I know, Proven Winners is the only one that has a color blaze, but this can go in full sun, this plant right here, and it'll get tall. This one would get 40 inches tall. So it makes a big presence, and it does bloom, and it's a really pretty bloom too. The bees and everything else love it. So I'm gonna plant it real close to these right here. So I may have too many plants for this, but we'll see. So this one right here is called Silver Bullet. It's a proven accent plant. It's full sun. This one stays short, so I'm gonna like have it kind of spilling over. I want it to kind of hang over a little bit. I think this little piece right here broke off transporting. All right, so now I've got some color, and I thought these 2 colors right here were bright and cherry, and they played off these colors really well. So that's the reason why I picked these 2. This one is a Supertunia Vista Silverberry. This is a big, heavy feeder, so this likes food every single week. And then this one right here is not a Supertunia, but a Superbells, which is called the Calibracoa. You may have heard of that one. So this Calibracoa looks like a petunia, but it does not like to be in the ground. It likes to be in containers because our soil is heavy, that heavy clay, and it doesn't drain well. Clay holds water, so this one needs to go in a container. So make sure you look. It's not going to be happy in the ground at all. And you might go to the store and think that looks like a petunia, right? How many would thought that looks like a petunia and would have put it into the ground? It does not like it. So I've got 2 of these, so I'm going to put them on each side, and then I'll alternate with the white silverberries, like here and here.
Kim, should we stay away from like the big box stores when you're buying plants?
You know, Home Depot and Lowe's has a lot of Proven Winners, so no, I mean, It just what you like. Just make sure you pay attention to what takes sun, what, you know, where you're gonna put it, how you're gonna take care of it. You know, do you have a water source? Are you gonna water it yourself? I have pots that are called aqua pots that I have up against the garage that are self-watering containers. And so if you forget to water and you're like, I always kill my plants, that might be a good option for you. Or if you don't have a place that you can have access to drip, you know, like between my two garages, I don't have drip. It's nowhere close to drip. Let's see. This one back here. Make sure you always water your plants really good before you put them in the container. This soil is dry. You don't want to start out a dry plant in here because it may never really recover. So make sure you water them really good. Sometimes if I got a perennial or a shrub, I will soak it in a bucket for a couple of hours before I plant it.
Yes, you did that with, what's the ones in the fall? Mums.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to water too. Yeah, you can get a bucket and then put your plant in the bucket and let it absorb from the bottom. And then I usually keep it in there about 20-30 minutes. And then when your mum gets light, that means you know that you need to soak it again. You can kind of feel by picking it up if it's heavy versus light. I don't like to plant mums. They're a perennial, but I just don't love them. I just like them for the 2 weeks. But that's, you know, everybody has their own thing that they like. And this is a spiller. It's just gonna add a little bit more texture and color with the silver versus all this green. This is called Dichondra Falls. And a lot of times my Dichondra Falls will come back. Like if it'll fall to the ground, it'll just start growing right there in my landscape. And we're gonna plant it on the side as well so it'll spill over. And I got 2 of these. These look like lace to me. Like it really does drape down your container. It looks beautiful. All right, and then I need to go back and add a little bit more soil. Make sure all the roots are completely covered. And I'm not gonna water this because it will be really heavy to take out. But I'm gonna water it really good when I get home. Stuff that dirt down in there. Oh yeah, I got this for, I'm doing a seed, well I did a lot of seed starting this past on like experimenting. So this summer I'm gonna try to sell cut flowers. You guys remember, I'll post like on my Facebook page, the Northreef Facebook page and the Palisades. So I'm gonna like create some bouquets and then just have like where you can pick them up off my front porch. So I'm gonna try to sell, I got dahlias and zinnias. But then this was because I don't have like a big area. I only live on a 1/4 of an acre, I guess. And I did this for my seed starting.
This is an example of her cut flowers.
Oh. Well, actually, those are all my roses. I have an English garden rose. And then I wanted to show that too because you can also use stuff from your garden to make as fillers too. So that yellow was Baptisia, that purple right there is from catnip, and then that white is the same Gara that I just cut off and placed into around my roses. All right, so that is that shade garden, summer garden. Now I want to show you guys how to amend your soil. So I've got our lovely clay here. This is what our clay looks like. I've got a plant that I'm going to plant for you. And I've got my compost here. So when I'm planting, I at least have this compost right here is a cow manure. You can use any kind of compost. I like the Land and Sea compost is my favorite, but it's a little bit more pricey. And then I like the Black Cow. You can always get that at Lowe's. I bought this at a nursery that I was working next to in Blythewood, but this one right here has cow manure in it. So if I was planting a plant, I would plant at least, I would throw 2 to 3 handfuls of compost in my hole, just like that.
Now, this is in a planter or in the ground?
In the ground,
Okay.
yeah. So this is our red clay. So this is like what I'm gonna do in the ground. So then, well, first of all, I would start with my auger. This is my favorite tool. So this breaks through the clay pretty easy. So once I break my ground up with this, I throw a couple of handfuls of that compost in there, and then I throw some of this biotone in as well. So this is what I always do, and this is why my garden is super happy. And then we're gonna just mix it up. This is an auger. Yeah, I have this on my YouTube channel too, under where you can purchase. I get like a little bit of kickback. This is called the Easy Dig Kit. It comes with 2 augers. Good enough.
This is when you don't want to sit in front.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying all that compost and the biotone.
Alright, so see the difference in the amended soil. So a big difference. So this is what's going to make your plants happy. So our clay soil is not bad. I mean, actually it holds water more, so it's good for our hot summers because it's going to hold on to more moisture. But this is also going to make it drain really well too. And then another thing in our clay soil is that you don't want to plant it too deep. So what you want to do is I never remove any of the soil when I plant. So what I do would be I would normally take this container out right here. And then once I got my hole all amended and dug up with my auger, then I'll fill this completely full of the soil that's in that hole into here. And then when I plant, I add this all the way back around. And you want to plant about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch above the ground level. That way it's going to mound and it will drain, and it's going to drain away from the plant instead of like going into the plant. And then if it does, it's going to get root rot. So that's the big thing. I learned the hard way on that one. So
You're only going to do this much, and
This-
the rest of the pot will be above ground.
yes, and then you cover the roots with the soil that you just took out.
Okay.
You never ever want to take out your existing soil and put in nothing but this, because you're going to create like a big water bath, and it's just going to like pull in there, and your plant's going to die because of root rot. So that's the biggest thing, planting in clay soil. So then I already got like all my stuff amended here. It's gonna be hard to I can't really get this completely down in the ground here, but yeah, I mean, I just can't do it right here. But this is gonna be 1 inch to 1.5 inches above with the soil all the way around it.
And that won't fry the roof.
Nope.
Do you buy smaller bags at home?
Yes. Well, I think this is a 2 cubic. You can buy 1 cubic. Yeah. But I go through it like crazy, and I go through this I always say I go through this like butter. I'm always buying. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, these are from Married People boots. I love them. I wish I have a link. These are. Love them. You can buy. I don't have a link for those. You can just buy them online. They're just my favorite boots. All right. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
If I wanted to plant vegetables, a container garden of vegetables, can I use the same
Yes.
soil?
Same soil, same bio starter. They do have different. I always plant with this root starter. Now, they do have different plant food. So every single year, everything in my garden gets some kind of fertilizer. So if you have not fertilized yet, fertilize everything. That's what's gonna make it lush. You know, like your plants are using all this that's in the ground and there's nothing to replenish it. So for like all my evergreens, my emerald green arborvitaes, they get the same espoma makes a thing called plant tone. And then all my hollies get holly tone. And then there's rose tone, so all my roses get rose tone as well. And then I also like to use some water soluble fertilizer that's called Maxi on the roses. And then what else? They have holly tone, rose tone, garden tone, magnolias. You can either do plant tone, yeah. But any of it's not gonna hurt. If you can find one fertilizer and you don't wanna plant it with 5 different things, just get plant tone and put everything. And that's all I do is just either scoop it up with the big, like some kind of cup or whatever, and I just throw it on there. And then it gets absorbed down. Well, I always do it at least one time, at least in the spring. Yeah, sometimes you can do it again in the fall. But I already did mine probably in March when I did mine, but it's not too late. If you have not done it, go ahead and do it. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Hang on. Well, go ahead.
I have some hydrangeas that are very healthy, but they're no longer blooming. What do you do to get the blooms to come back?
Do they have enough sun?
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff, yeah.
Are you putting if you pruned them, did you prune them when you weren't supposed to?
I pruned them before last winter. I pruned them at the end of the season each time.
So it depends on what kind of hydrangea you have. I have limelight hydrangeas. Are they the pink and the blue? And the purple
one's
ones?
a limeade green and one's like pink.
Are they the microphagia, however you say that type of hydrangea?
Is there some that bloom from new growth or something?
Yeah, that looks, some grow on old growth and some grow on new growth. So the time to prune a hydrangea would be right after it blooms. If you don't know if it grows on old growth or new growth. So if it grows on old growth and you pruned it in the fall, then you might have cut all the blooms off because they're setting their blooms in the fall.
Okay.
So it just depends on what type you have. You have to be really careful. I have the panicle hydrangeas and mine grow off old growth and new growth. So you can never mess that up.
I definitely missed this one. Like I said, they're very healthy, but they're no longer
Right.
blooming.
So you may if the sun conditions are wrong, or you probably pruned them at the wrong time.
Okay, so they're supposed to be pruned right after they bloom.
Right. So I would not prune it at all next year. Like this year, just leave it alone. Don't prune it at all, and see if you get blooms next year.
But you can't add like a fertilizer or something to get.
You can, but if you cut your blooms off, you're not going to get them. It's not going to make them reset a bud.
What do you put on them to keep the color?
Well, some of it is just within your soil. So I always forget, I think we are real acidic. So if you're real acidic, I think you get blue blooms instead of the pink blooms. You have blue. Well, you can buy, Espoma's got a soil solidifier that you can put on there that will change the color.
I like the blue, and then it seems like at the end of the season, they get this,
More purple.
it's like a dark browny color, and they're not blue at all.
Well, when the blooms only last for a certain period of time, and then they're going to start turning brown, and then that's when you deadhead them.
Right, but then the next, it seems like it blooms twice, and then
Right.
the next blooms.
So it's a reblooming hydrangea. Yeah. So you can change it. If you want to, with the soil solidifier through Espoma too. Pikes, has anybody ever been to Pikes Nursery? Pikes has all these tones as well. Pikes, Wilson's has them. Creekside has every kind of tones. I think Southern Roots has all the tones too, I think, or a lot of them.
A lot of them, I think.
Tractor Supply has them.
Yeah, Tractor Supply does too. What was your question?
Have you any experience with propagating hydrangeas by any chance?
I have personally not, but they say it's pretty easy. You just
Well,
want
I've
to.
done it, but I'm just waiting, I'm trying to get them to start growing. There's some roots, you know, I've got some in big pots, I've decided I'm gonna try them in the ground. And they're green.
Have you fertilized them? Have you gave them fertilizer?
I have, but I'm not sure that I'm using the right kind.
Well, you could either get the plant tone or rose tone,
I mean,
Holly
I've got
tone.
Holly tone.
Holly tone should work.
Yeah,
But you
I've
know,
been putting that on all my evergreens.
yeah, I mean, it just takes time. I mean, that's why when you buy a plant, you're probably buying the root system that's 2 or 3 years old. When you're propagating, then you have to pretty much start from like start.
And the only reason I'm doing this is because the hydrangea I had in my former home was the most beautiful sky, Carolina sky
Yeah.
blue.
Right.
Every year, after year, and I've never seen one around your nurseries.
Yeah. Did you plant it in the ground to propagate, or you got it in a container?
No, I did them in containers
Okay.
to propagate.
Yeah.
And so now I've transferred one to the ground.
Okay.
And it's just sitting there, you know.
Yeah, well, most of the time when you plant things too, I mean, they say the first year they sleep, the first year they creep, the third year they leap.
Okay, so I just need
You need to be patient, yeah,
all gardeners have to be patient.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Do you fertilize peonies after you cut them back in the fall or?
I fertilized mine before they even bloomed, but, I mean, it's not gonna hurt. I know peonies, the blooms last maybe like 2 weeks, and then once they bloom, you cut the stalks off, and then they don't like the heat, so they'll probably die back before the end of summer, so then I just cut everything back down to the ground for those. But it's not gonna hurt it. It'll just help the root system.
Kim, thank you.
You're welcome.
So great. So
Do
cool.
you have one more question? Do you have a question?
Sir, I have a plant that I got from IKEA, and I didn't know that you had repotted it or anything, resoiled, and the thing's been there for 13 years
Oh,
in the same pot,
right?
so it's unfortunately I'm too scared because how wild it grew. If I take it out, it's going to, like, some things are going to fall apart and like break the roots and everything else. I'm afraid of root ties.
I think the roots, it's probably really root bound in there, so you're probably gonna have to break up some of the roots as well. I just planted a Japanese maple that's on the side of the house in a container because I wanna like that structure, but I don't want it to get huge, so I planted it in a pot so I can kinda like contain the growth on that. But probably every 2 years, you probably need to take whatever out of the pot, and you can, if it's really root bound, you can cut some of the roots back. You just can't cut too much to where it's gonna kill the plant, and then give it new soil and plant everything back.
Now, one more question. Do you have like service where you can come and help me?
That's why I gave you my card. So you can either text me and say, hey, can you come over? I'm gonna start doing some consults, and I like personally, when I do a consult, I can make up a plan, but then you might not be able to find that plant. I like to go to the nursery with you and like come up with a plan, and then like, all right, this is like the design that we have when we have all the plants laid out, and then like decide to plant them. That's how I like to work, but I can like always give suggestions, And then if you any of you want container planting, like I'm more than welcome to like come and do. I love doing container planting. I'm 55. I don't want to be digging in the ground all day long. If I did that, I'd probably ask someone else or have you hire someone else to like plant them. But as far as picking out plants and placing them and doing containers, I'll be glad to help you guys with that. So just email me or text me. And then remember about my cut flowers this coming summer too. So keep a lookout for that. And you can, like I said, I'm hoping and want to create a bouquet that you cannot find at a grocery store. I want this gorgeous bouquet that you'd be like, oh my gosh, where'd you get that? Kind of like something like this. That's already from my garden. You can't find something like that at the grocery store.
If any of you have the time,
to take her up on her offer to
Yeah.
go by her
Yeah,
house.
you're welcome to come.
It's well worth your time. Yes, absolutely.
So hey gardening friends, we're all home. This is where the pot's new location's gonna be, just right here next to my furniture so I can enjoy. Look how beautiful it is. I need to get it all watered in. It was quite heavy trying to get it moved from the country club to here, but look how pretty this is gonna be, you guys. Look at all the little details. Always make sure you pay attention to texture. This has great texture, color, things that are going to complement your pot versus the flowers. And then your thriller, spiller, fillers. And then always a cute little touch of something like this. Makes you smile. I hope you enjoyed this little video of me giving a presentation to the Palisades Women's Club. I thought I would bring you along. I hope you learned something. Just get out and get gardening, you guys, because it's enjoyable. It brings you joy. It's therapy. It's exciting. It's fun. But boy, am I sweating right now. It is a hot day today, mid-80s, and I still got lots of planting to do. Promised my husband that I'd get all this in this little side area out of his way. He's tired of looking at it, and honestly, so am I. So I need to get it all done. Happy gardening, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.